Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to start this presentation with you today. We'll be exploring the concatenate transform theory, a fascinating concept in our field. The author of this work is Faisal Quran, and it was created with Pi. Over the next few slides, I'll guide you through the key ideas and insights behind this theory. So, let's get started and delve into what makes this approach so intriguing. Let's take a quick look at the contents of today's presentation. We'll start with an overview of the theory itself, which provides the foundation for everything we'll explore. Next, we'll examine the function doctor, which is all about the digital root, an interesting way to reduce numbers to their core essence. Then, we'll move on to additional mathematical operations that expand our toolkit for manipulating numbers. After that, we'll focus on the function cat, which is about concatenation, combining numbers or strings to form new ones. Finally, we'll look at the concept of the T-chain, which involves a sequence of transformations that build upon each other. Throughout this presentation, I'll connect these points to show how they work together within the overall theme of understanding complex mathematical processes in a simplified way. Let's dive into the core of our presentation, starting with an overview of the theory. So, what exactly is the concatenate transform theory? Essentially, it's a STEM-based tool designed to provide a numerical reflection of the Quran. Its main purpose is to create a meaningful connection between numbers and contemplation, encouraging us to think deeper and observe proper etiquette in our reflection. The process is quite straightforward. We begin with an input, then apply a series of transformations called a T-chain, which leads us to an output, and finally, we interpret its meaning. Now, this isn't a traditional or classical interpretation. Instead, it's a modern framework that offers a fresh way of engaging with the Quran through numbers. For example, some key numbers include 114, representing the total number of surahs, 7 for Al-Fatiha, and 1587, which has specific significance in this context. The steps involved are simple. First, you choose a number, then you perform a sequence of transformations on it, confirm the results, and finally, take time to reflect on what it reveals. This approach connects the numerical patterns directly to our contemplation, making the process both meaningful and accessible. It's all about creating a bridge between the numerical and the spiritual, fitting perfectly within our overall theme of engaging more deeply with the Quran through innovative perspectives. Let's take a closer look at the function cat, which is primarily used for concatenation. Its basic purpose is to connect digits or small numbers to form new, larger numbers. For example, if we use cat 777, we get 777, simply concatenating the digits. Similarly, cat 38 results in 38. The input here is usually single digits or small numbers, and the function just strings them together to create a new number. Now moving on to the advanced example. When we see cat 7, it produces 77, which relates back to the concept of tawaf from our earlier slide. Interestingly, 77 can be further transformed, perhaps through another function like doctor, 77, which might reduce it to 14, and then to 5. The main purpose of this process is to generate symbolic numbers that can be used in the context of the T-chain, adding a layer of abstraction and meaning to the numbers we create. This demonstrates how concatenation isn't just about combining digits, but can also serve as a tool for generating meaningful symbolic representations within our overall framework. In this slide, we're focusing on the function doctor, which is known as the digital root. The basic idea here is to take a number and sum its digits. You keep doing this, summing digits, until you reach either an intermediate sum or a single digit. For example, if you take the number 1587, you add 1 plus 5 plus 8 plus 7, which gives you 21. Then, if you continue, 2 plus 1 equals 3, so the digital root of 1587 is 3. But in the example shown, doctor 1587 equals 21 because we stop at the intermediate sum. Another example is 67. 6 plus 7 equals 13, and then 1 plus 3 equals 4. So the digital root of 67 is 4. Now moving to some advanced examples, which are really useful for pattern recognition and simplification. For instance, doctor 19 equals 10. Here we sum 1 plus 9 to get 10. Then, as before, we could reduce further if needed. Or take doctor, 15,876, which equals 27 because 1 plus 5 plus 8 plus 7 plus 6 equals 27. And for doctor, 114, summing 1 plus 1 plus 4 gives us 6. The key purpose of using digital roots like this is to reduce complex numbers into simpler forms, making it easier to spot patterns. For example, in multiplication, knowing that 6 times 19 equals 114 and their digital roots align helps us see underlying relationships more clearly. So, essentially, Doctor is a powerful tool for pattern recognition and simplification in number analysis. Now, let's explore the concept of a T-chain, which is essentially a sequence of transformations or operations. The basic function involves applying a series of operations to a number or set of numbers, like using functions such as cat, doctor, adding a number, multiplying, squaring, or subtracting. For example, if we have a t equals doctor, cat 3, 8, plus 19, we start with the number 19, then apply doctor to get 10, then cat 3, 8 to reach 38, and finally add 19 to arrive at 57. You can think of this as a template where we fill in the operations, like t equals, to create different transformation sequences. In the advanced example, the process is similar but more meaningful. Starting from 19, applying doctor gives us 10, then cat 3, 8 transforms that to 38, and adding 19 brings us to 57. Interestingly, 57 is half of the number 114, which is significant because 114 is the total number of chapters in Surah Al-Quran. The main purpose of these transformations is to connect numbers to the deeper meanings within the Quran, illustrating how numerical sequences can reflect spiritual or thematic concepts. This approach helps us see the connections between numbers and their symbolic significance in the broader context of the presentation. Now, let's take a look at some additional mathematical operations that help us expand our understanding beyond just basic calculations. When we talk about addition, for example, we see the notation plus 19, which we can think of as a nuzul number. It's a simple way to represent adding 19 to a number. Moving on to multiplication, we encounter the symbols times 3 and times 19, meaning we're multiplying a number by 3 or by 19, respectively. These operations are fundamental in scaling numbers quickly and efficiently. Next, there's squaring, which involves multiplying a number by itself. For instance, 126 squared, written as 1262, equals 15,876. This operation is especially useful when dealing with areas or quadratic functions. Finally, we have subtraction, such as minus 133, which simply means taking 133 away from a number. These operations, addition, multiplication, squaring, and subtraction, are the building blocks that allow us to manipulate numbers in more complex ways. They're essential tools, especially when exploring patterns or solving more intricate problems. Throughout our presentation, understanding these basic operations sets the stage for grasping more advanced mathematical concepts. In this slide, I want to walk you through some advanced examples that really highlight the concepts we've been discussing. First, let's look at the number 1587. When we find its digital root, doctor equals 21, and then multiplying 21 by 3 gives us 63. Notice how 63 can be broken down into 9 times 7, which ties back to our earlier slide where we explored factors and their significance. Next, consider 126 squared, which equals 15,876. Its digital root is 27, and if we reduce that further, 27 becomes 3 cubed, or 3 raised to the power of 3. This shows how large numbers can be simplified down to fundamental roots, revealing underlying patterns. Finally, look at 114. Its digital root is 6, and if we multiply 6 by 19, we get back to 114. This is a perfect example of how certain numbers can be reconstructed through their digital roots and factors, reinforcing the interconnectedness of these concepts. Overall, these examples demonstrate the power of digital roots and factorization in uncovering the deeper structure within numbers. They build on the themes of the presentation, showing how seemingly complex numbers can be broken down into their essential components, revealing elegant relationships. Now, let's take a closer look at the visual specifications for this slide. The background is set to a very dark blue, with the RGB values of 3, 7, and 30, which provides a strong contrast for the text and visuals. Moving on to the body text in basic slides, the text box is positioned at 50 pixels from the left and 130 pixels from the top, with a width of 650 pixels and a height of 320 pixels. The font size here is 20 points, making it quite readable, and the text color is a light gray, with RGB values of 240, 240, 240. The margins are set to 8 points on both the left and right sides, ensuring the text isn't cramped. Word wrap is enabled to flow the text neatly within the box. An optional fade animation can be used to introduce the content smoothly. For the title, the font size is larger at 36 points, and the color is a bright gold with RGB 255, 215, 0, helping it stand out clearly against the background. It's positioned using the default layout, placing it prominently at the top of the slide. When it comes to elaboration slides, which are the even-numbered ones, the text box remains at the same left position but is slightly taller, at 350 pixels, to accommodate more detailed content. The font size is slightly smaller at 18 points, and the text color is a softer gray with RGB 220, 220, 220, maintaining visual consistency. Margins and word wrap are the same, and the optional fade animation can also be applied here. Overall, these specifications are designed to create a visually appealing and easy-to-read presentation, ensuring that key points are communicated clearly and engagingly. Let's take a closer look at this slide. Here, we're focusing on the description of new slides 1 and 2, which are added at the beginning of the presentation. These slides serve an important purpose: to explain the concept of the entire theory, its purpose, context, and process. Think of them as explanation slides that set the stage for everything that follows. It's also important to note that there's no VBA involved here. The content is designed for manual input into PowerPoint, so we're working directly with the slides we create ourselves. In terms of structure, we're covering 10 slides in total, 5 basic slides and 5 elaboration slides. The basic slides give us straightforward definitions of the functions like cat, doctor, T-chain, and additional operations such as +n, times n, 2, and n. The elaboration slides then add examples and context to help us understand how these functions work in practice. The overall goal with these slides is clarity and focus. We want to keep explanations brief, mainly providing definitions and direct examples without overcomplicating things or making too many assumptions. So, to summarize, these initial explanation slides are crucial. They introduce the core concepts and set the foundation for more detailed exploration later. They help us understand the purpose of each function, how they fit into the bigger picture, and prepare us for applying these functions in real examples. Now, let's look at some of the limitations we face with this approach. First, there's the issue of unclear context. Operations like +19, which is a nuzul number, and -133 or times 126 are mentioned, but they aren't fully explained in the original slides. This means that some of the calculations or logic behind these operations might be hard to follow without additional background. Secondly, there's the assumption we made regarding the step from 77 to 5. We considered it as doctor, 77, which is based on digital root logic. This is an important point because it shows how certain assumptions are applied to simplify or interpret the data, but it also highlights that these assumptions might not always be explicitly justified or clear-cut. Overall, these limitations remind us that while the methods can be powerful, they also depend heavily on context and assumptions that may not always be fully articulated. Recognizing these helps us understand where improvements or further clarifications could strengthen the analysis. Let's look at the suggestions for customization and adjustments. If you'd like explanation slides to be placed elsewhere, such as after slide 6, or if you need more slides or specific content, like just focusing on the T chain, please let me know. I'm here to tailor the presentation to your needs. Regarding visualization, if you're interested in a flowchart for the T chain, for example, showing the sequence 19 to 10 to 38 to 57, I can generate that in JSON format compatible with chart. JS, if you'd like. Just ask. Please confirm whether these proposed slides meet your expectations, or clarify if insert slide explanation refers to something else. Perhaps explanations for all 14 original slides or additional slides focusing on particular functions. In terms of alternative formats, I can provide these slides in Word, table, or PDF formats. Just specify what works best for you. Finally, if you have definitions for terms like nuzul number or minus 133 times 126, please share them. That way, I can ensure the explanations are accurate and clear. Overall, I want to make sure everything aligns perfectly with your goals for this presentation. Thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate the time you've taken to listen and engage with the content. As we wrap up, I want to emphasize how important it is to take what we've discussed and apply it to your own work or projects. Remember, the key points, whether it's the strategies, insights, or tools we've explored, are all designed to help you succeed. I hope this presentation has provided you with new perspectives and practical ideas. So again, thank you for your attention and participation. I look forward to seeing how you implement these concepts moving forward.